out of my hole. I've been walking the road too damn long. I'm a cripple and a riddle with doubt. I need to get the finger out.
Hello everybody, this is just a quick little video before the podcast. Today I have Liam here from Mullingar. I met Liam when we were doing Ayahuasca down in a secret location in the south of Ireland, and it's a great podcast. I really enjoyed it. I've just wanted to come on quickly and apologise for not having any podcasts for the last couple of weeks. I've just been having an unmanageable time, but I'm still sober, living the dream, and I just wanted to say hello, and the podcast will hopefully become more regular, but I'm putting my own mental health as a priority ahead of everything else. But I hope you enjoy this episode. Please share it, give it a little like, and let me know what you think of it. Okay, enjoy. Yeah, so Liam, what's the crack? How
Good, man. Everything is good. How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. It's good to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on Get the Finger Out podcast.
It's time, guys. Get the finger out.
The podcast where the party never stops. But no, I'm genuinely really happy you come here today, because I've been doing this podcast for a while and just talking to myself, and I feel maybe the viewers as well as me are probably getting sick of listening to just me. And the whole aim of the podcast is to, I started it out talking about things that people don't generally talk about in accordance to like mental health, addiction, things like that. And for me, I'm an alcoholic, and I've pretty much talked most of the podcast, maybe 3/4 of it, about alcoholism. So it's important to get talking to more and more people about other things,
Yeah.
So I have a big range of people, and podcasts have fallen through due to people's own problems and my own problems and blah blah blah. So it's good that you've actually come up 2 hours from Mullingar. You say you're from?
Yeah, from Mullingar. Yeah. Born and reared.
Yeah.
So don't hold it against me.
Fuck, I spilt my coffee. Where's Mullingar? That's what county is that?
Mullingar's in Westmeath. So
Westmeath.
It's if you've heard of Athlone and Kinnegad, they're kind of like smack bang in the middle of them. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
And how do you know me? How do I know you?
Well, a few weeks ago, I'm sure you had the excitement of putting up a podcast about the ayahuasca trip, and
yes,
that's where we've become instantaneously like, hey man, you're pretty cool. You should come on my podcast.
Yeah, man. Yeah, turn that mic just a wee bit closer to you. I'm just a little bit anxious. Yeah, no, that's grand. Yeah, so we met doing an ayahuasca experience, and go back to episode 9 if you don't know what ayahuasca is. I'm not going to waste this episode talking about what it is, but we will talk about in a little bit about our experience there as soon as we figure out who you are. So I met you during the ayahuasca experience. I thought that you mentioned you're going to do a podcast soon, your own podcast.
Yeah. So I'll have a cabin in a couple of months to go in for a different goal. I'll be getting into the talking of mental health and stuff later on in the podcast, obviously, but I think it's very important for us to have a goal, and the podcast is a little side thing that I want to do just off that. So I think it's a good thing to have. So when you obviously said you had the podcast, my ears perked up,
Yeah.
So it was
And I thought that you would be a great guy to be on the podcast, because you just look like a guy who's got it all together,
Looks can be deceiving.
Yeah, well, that's where we'll probably go in this podcast. To me, when I meet you, you're well spoken, you're funny, you're clearly educated, and you're built like a fucking tank. So
well, that's recent. I've been on the losing 30 kilos the last fucking like year and a half, 2 years.
30. What's
30 kg?
I've got the metric system here. What's that in stone?
Shit, it's probably. Oh god. So what is it? It's like 7 kilos a stone or something. Like 3 stone. We can work out the logistics of that later. I don't know I stopped using stone when I was a kid. I started, hearing everybody else in school mentioning kgs.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
More American.
Yeah, exactly.
Quarter pounder with cheese.
Yeah. Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
But yeah, no, I've recently lost, a shitload of weight. And that's the other thing as well, because I've been in a very poor mental headspace for a lot of my life.
Okay.
So, you know, like, yeah, if you're sitting down and you're depressed and you probably feel like, you know, you're sitting down and eating too much and you want to get out and go for a walk, it's the action that's going to get it done, not the sitting in the hoping for
I
it.
eat because I'm unhappy, and I'm unhappy because I eat.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's real too.
And what sort of shit do you do to like lose weight or build muscle, or is it like just running or
Well,
weights? Clearly weights or something.
No, actually,
No?
weights is not a part of it. No,
Really?
yeah. So anybody who knows me personally knows that I took last October. I took 3 months, and I just done you've probably heard it across the internet, the carnivore diet.
Oh,
where it
yeah,
was just beef,
meat.
water, and salt.
Beef, water, and salt.
Beef, water, and salt. Those 3 things. Every couple of weeks, I'd have a day where I could cheat. I'd like have a Subway, and I'd get other food that I wouldn't normally jump off of, because you know, I have a few autoimmune diseases. So asthma is obviously, sorry, dude.
You're right.
Asthma is obviously an autoimmune disease where inflammation gets into the lungs, and
What's
it's
it
hard
called?
asthma.
Asthma.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you know, you have to carry around an inhaler. Your
Yeah.
lungs get inflamed. It's
So
harder
you've got
to breathe.
the asthma.
Yeah. So for years it was really bad, and I didn't want to do a whole lot of exercising because I found it very difficult to breathe. It led to years of being overweight and not having a proper diet. So that's why I think for mental health it's really important to have these things, because you know, I mean, our gut and our brain are so closely related. They're formed from the same fetal tissue.
Okay.
So when I started doing this beef, water, and salt diet, it made me feel incredible.
Oh shit.
The first 5 days into it, I stopped eating foods that, you know, made me really inflamed, made me really lethargic. And, you know, it was crazy because I never realized how good you can actually feel. Once I got a taste for that, I was like, wow, I'm less anxious. I'm less depressed. My energy levels are up. I wanted to exercise.
And do you need to take like supplements and shit when you're doing that?
I didn't take any supplements. Now I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not here to tell people that's the best thing that they can try.
I might fucking do it and die, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because I'm interested in doing it, because like I'm fucking lethargic as fuck all the time,
Dude,
And it's like you said, the brain and the body being connected. You know, it's, I don't know, 50% of the time I'm just feeling like my body's racked. I'm tired. I have this autoimmune disease in my spine, which I've brushed over before, where basically my fucking spine and different bones sometimes flare up and decide, oh, today you're going to be an 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm too fucking tired to do anything. But then that affects my mental health. I feel
And your
annoyed,
mood
depressed,
and everything, yeah.
anxious about the future. Am I going to be in a wheelchair or some shit? You know, all this stuff. And then there's also just the procrastination loop, which I've been bitching about in the podcast a lot, where I'm just, I don't want to fucking do anything, but I do want to take over the world, but I don't want to take the first step because I want to drink a coffee first and smoke a cigarette.
Yeah. So when it comes to the voice of wanting to do it, I just said like, fuck, like thinking about doing it. You're thinking about doing it for years, and you're thinking about doing it for months, and then I'm going to have bad days, I'm going to have everything. I found that the trick to actually getting on board to trying to stick to anything is, I know what I'm like. ADHD down to the ground. I'm going to forget that I have food in the press. I'm going to go to the shop. I'm going to buy more food, come back and be like, oh, I could have made this for dinner.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, like, if I don't see it, I forget about it.
Yeah.
So I find the best way to do that is if you can leave like a little note for yourself, or, you know, these are things that you have to actually like put a lot of the effort into do to start remembering, rather than setting an unrealistic goal for like a week or for like 2 months or 3 months. Because when I started doing this, I didn't plan, you know, like I'm going to do this for 3 months and really stick at it and show myself what I can do. No, I said I was going to do this diet for a week, you know, and I said, fuck it. It's 7 days. You know, I was off work. I was pretty sick, you know, and I was never sick, which made me actually want to try a diet, like, because I was like, I'm really unhealthy. So when you get to the stage of where like, I'm not ever going to jump on and do something religiously for 2 months. It's going to be the hardest thing ever, because you're already thinking about 2 months down the line. So I found that just setting a nice little goal of do a week, do 4 days. And if I get to 4 days and everything starts feeling really, really good, I'm like, okay, I can do another week. And then when I done 2, I was like, okay, now let's see if I can push myself and do a month. And when you start doing this, you kind of start learning who you are.
Yeah.
You know, because for years I was the same as most of the other guys out there, you know, that just left school. You know, you've no experience, you don't know the world a whole lot. You know, you're on social fucking media all of the time. and you're doing nothing. So you're sitting down and you're depressed and you're anxious and you don't have any goals. You don't know what to stick to. It's really hard to do diets. It's really hard to do all that shit. So I found that the best thing I can do for that is set a goal that is just a little bit uncomfortable enough to make it comfortable. You know? So I mean, like, fuck, I can't do 3 months of this shit. Can you do 4 days?
Yeah.
You know, find a middle ground. Start talking to yourself a little bit. Start asking yourself really basic questions.
Yeah.
You know, talk to yourself like you're a kid, but a kid that's curious about something. I kind of found
that.
Was the trick.
Yeah, it's kind of like with I'll probably relate everything you say back to fucking alcoholism because I'm just fucking obsessed with getting sober. But you know, in AA and even people that don't go to AA, the whole thing is just do 1 day sober.
Yeah.
You know, it's short-sighted, but fuck me, it works. You know, when you just say, because you're thinking, what am I going to do next week when it's my birthday and everybody's drinking? What am I going to do when it's my fucking daughter's marriage? Or what am I going to do when I'm going on holiday? What am I going? But it's like, no, just stay sober today and then wake up tomorrow and then say tomorrow, right, I'm going to stay sober today. And in theory, that's like communism. It works, you know. But
probably gets better results than this, you know. But yeah, I find that that's the 1 second rule. I call it the 1 second rule. A day is probably a bit nicer of a time period for it. But I found that, so like obviously having lost a lot of weight, sugar is the biggest killer that I find. I love sugar. Who doesn't love sugar?
Fucking
you
right.
want, right. You want a biscuit with that cup of tea?
It's like heroin, man.
Yeah, genuinely, it's really fucking addictive. So I'm very careful with the amount of sugar that I'll take in, regardless. You know. But I found that because sugar is just that addictive, that I need to be in the shop or wherever I'm going to go for it, and I need to just tell myself no, but just for 1 more second. Yeah. Do I still want the sugary treat? Like 1 more second, you know? Because, you know, that other voice, I think, you know, if it's alcohol or sugar or, you know, meth, whatever it is, I think if there's one thing that you really have that weakness for, I think that voice is always going to be there. But I think it's just the discipline to actually say no for 1 more second or 1 more day or 1 more month, you know, like the short little voice that speaks in, you know. So a few months ago, I wanted to do a little bit of a challenge with, I started off with some friends, and it's to do a 70-kilometer circuit around Slieve Blue Mountains.
What's that in miles? I'm only joking. Go on.
We'll let the signs figure that one out.
It's like 50 miles, I would say. But anyway, go on. I'm just being stupid.
But yeah, so we packed up our rucksacks and we were going to do, you know, 2 nights hiking out and camping out, and you do a circle around this mountain range. And they're not very tall, but, you know, the rest of the Midlands in Ireland is really flat, so you can actually see that the mountains, they're only like 500 meters tall, but you can see for really far. It's lovely. If you're ever down in, you know, Offaly direction, give them
quite
a shot.
Often.
But yeah, I found that I knew that the track was all the way around it, and I told you that it takes 3 days to do. Yeah. So I was off for a few days from work, and I hadn't had a challenge or anything that I could do. You know, you listen to enough of people on YouTube about being motivational and about, you know, you want to pick something for yourself, you know, but you're never sure, like, is a challenge unloading the dishwasher or hiking in a fucking mountain? You know, who knows? But when I done the trek, you know, I said that I'd do it, and I knew it was going to be hard, so I sat down with a couple of my friends and I said, right, this is going to be, it's going to suck, you know, you're going to be carrying a really heavy bag, and you're going to do trekking, like, it's not going to be easy. And all the lads were, yeah, sure, we'll do it, no problem at all. I ended up being the only one finishing it.
No way.
The rest of the lads, a couple of the lads dropped out day number 1.
And when was this?
This probably was, I'd say, about maybe 5 or 6 weeks before the retreat.
All right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't when you had those extra kilos. It was when you
No. I actually put like 25 kilos like back in the bag. So at the time, I think it was like the amount of weight that I'd lost, I wanted to carry it across, just making up, you know, like dumb little goals for myself. Yeah. Now by the end of it, you know, you had the moments where you'd stop and pitch up tent and, you know, take the foot off and eat a fucking protein bar or anything. And you'd be okay, you'd get a little bit more complacent, And then there was times on the last day, like by the time I got back to the car, like I had three fucking toes that were bleeding.
Oh, Jesus.
You know, I was tired as shit. You know, because like you're carrying like it's like 40 pound or some shit on your back.
Yeah.
You know, just for the sake of it. And you know, I done it because I wanted to see how mentally stronger I could be for myself.
And how did you feel after you done it?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on a high.
Fucking king.
Yeah, yeah. But had the Rocky tune ready on the phone to play when I got up to the top of the mountain. But no, it was amazing because for 2 weeks before that, or a week and a half before that, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I've never done a circuit. I've never done a hike. I actually ended up doing 20 extra kilometers on top of it. So
Holy fuck.
Yeah, so I done 92.5 kilometers because at one stage I done a loop head trail in one of the parts of the circuits. But then after I'd done that, I took the wrong path. So I actually had to backtrack like another like 10 kilometers when I was like nearly finished too. And that was the worst because I just wanted to die.
So you pretty much ran from Dungannon to Mullingar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Yeah. It was, but like it was great, you know what I mean? Like, but everybody has their different forms of, and that like in the gym, you know, if it's gym or calisthenics, you were asking about weights earlier. I had a couple small dumbbells that I'd lift, but that was it. I work on an unholy amount. You know, so everybody always told me, "Oh, I don't have time. I'll go to the gym." It's bullshit.
And what's your job? Just so the people know that's listening. Work? Do you mean work out or work your job?
Oh no, like work, like driving. So recovery driver.
Yeah,
so you know,
recovery
we're
driver.
always out. We're dealing with fatalities. We're dealing with crashes. You know, anything from a battery jump, you know, to changing your fucking tire. You know, anything. You know, but it's a great job. You know, you really get to help people.
And do you ever lift those fuckers that take 2 parks up or?
Yeah.
Class. I hate those people.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's how something like that would work. We'd get a call from, you know, like the police in our area, and they'd be like, "Hey,
Lift these.
we can't get this car's owner." They'd try to ring because they know the reg plate and they can get all the details for the driver.
Sometimes when people park like too much on the side, I do that really passive aggressive thing where I park right up next to their car so they can't get the passenger door open.
Yeah,
or
so
something.
they have to sweat a little bit.
Yeah. Fuck them. They're breaking the law. You know.
Yeah.
So, I know why I went to do the ayahuasca challenge experience.
Yeah.
You know, I went to it. I mean, I told everybody, and in my head, I was sort of consciously saying, yes, I want to do it because I want to have a new experience. I want to see what all the rage is about, first of all.
Yeah.
But I also want to like change my life and be doing like, I want to be going to the gym. I want to be, you know, reading instead of watching Netflix. I want to be doing all the good things.
You want to be at 2 a.m. when you're lying in bed thinking about all the things you can be doing. Yeah.
You I want to be when I'm reading fucking endless self-help books and, you know, don't finish the self-help book because I'm fucking procrastinating on to reading more. And like, you know, I've read every fucking self-help book. But anyway, but deep down, I thought, you know, in my head, this will be a cure for alcoholism. You know, even though I'd read online and stuff, it's not, you know, but
There's the hope.
There is revelations and stuff, and there was revelations, you know. So that was the reason why I went. You know, I thought it was a big red button that I press, and then boom, I can drink again, or I never have to think about drinking again.
I think that goes back to whether it's alcohol or sugar or whatever it is. You want that quick fix to never want to like it again. You know, and that's the thing that I'm convinced isn't there. So it's obviously something that's really difficult to keep a hold of. It's, you know, it's one of your demons. You know, like I have my demons.
Nah, man, it's fucking easy. You know?
Of course. It's never come up and it's never bothered me in the slightest.
I'm just looking at you and all I see is a bottle of vodka going.
Just talking away.
Father Ted.
Yes, Smirnoff, I agree.
I'm only joking, by the way.
But no, I found that that's it. I think that's the best thing about it. I think because the most disheartening thing about when you have something like that is failing again. You know, that's it. That's the part that sucks so bad. You can do so well for a month, for 2 months, for a year, for 2 years.
It's not even failing yourself. It's like everybody around you that's all like fucking disappointed and, you know, angry. And
and I think that comes back to our own inner monologue. So that's the relationship that like I found that I need to work on. The days that I don't show up for myself, that I have more sugar, that I don't get down and do 20 push-ups, that I don't get down and
Inner monologue, meaning like the story
voice
you
in
tell yourself.
Yeah, the voice in your head. You know, fuck. You know, you done good today.
You're a real piece of shit, aren't you?
You woke up and you put something in the dishwasher, and then you're thinking like, do you know what? Later on that day, because I was good, I had a productive day.
Yeah.
Your mind is gonna lie to you and say that you've had a productive day, even if you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, you've made so many compromises that you don't want to jump back and you know go back over the rest of the day. So I find that that's the it's that voice of wanting to do it. I think
This is what I think is at the core of all the self-help, whether it's self-help as in the 3-second rule, just get up and do it, or the self-help book that says think about quantum energy, or the self-help that thinks like the law of attraction and all that. Like, I think it's all related to just that inner monologue that you tell yourself. You know, the law of attraction, I don't believe that, you know, that famous story of Jim Carrey where he writes himself a check for $1 million and then he, you know, 5 years later had a check for $1 million. I wrote a fucking check for $1 million. I didn't fucking get one. I wanted to be the biggest band in the world. Didn't happen. But I do believe if you can change that voice inside you, you're essentially changing your core values, you know.
Yeah.
And your core values feed off your subconscious. And the more I learn about myself and the more I learn about trauma and things, it's that trauma that suppresses. You know, you can consciously read a self-help book and say, well, I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to work towards this goal. And then it's like, oh, a bird. Oh, you want a cigarette. Oh, the pub. Oh, and then you're fucking 2 weeks later reading another self-help book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
You know?
I think I've heard this on YouTube a few times. Motivation is shit. I'm as somebody who used to always sit down and listen to the motivational speeches and, you know, all the motivation on YouTube and stuff that helps. But I think motivation is in itself just it's not there. You either have it or you don't. So I think the trick of that is your voice. It's the disciplined voice that tells you what you need to do. Those times where we you know, want that sugary treat or that drink or whatever, those are the voices that we have as a kid. I really, really want that. And I can't have it. I want it even more. So, I mean, like, I always have, like, that alter ego of, like, that actual, like, disciplinary voice, that parent in your head saying, no, you don't want it. You'll feel bad afterwards. You know? And I find that if I am struggling with something that I want to get, like, you know, like an addiction or a sugary treat or whatever it is, when I'm on the days where I'm doing really good, I've gone 5 days without having sugary shit, I'm working out every day and I'm doing what I need to do, you feel great. And then when you start feeling really good, when you get complacent, you get too cocky and you want to just like ruin it.
Yeah.
You know, that little self-destructive
Sabotage that
streak.
shit.
And you're like, you've been doing good. No, you're not. No, you're not. But I found that, I think that voice of saying no to that is just like is just key. And I think
that is key.
Yeah, they get so discouraged after one more time, and everyone's like, oh, but I've tried 20 times to stop already. Try again.
I can identify with that so much because there's a funny thing. It might sound stupid, but well, it's not stupid, but every time I like start doing well in life, you know, whether that's over the course of 2 weeks or over the course of 3 months, there comes a day where I stop eating fast food and I fill the fridge with fucking ingredients, healthy, good ingredients. And me and my girlfriend noticed a fucking correlation here. Whenever that fridge is filled, 2 weeks later, that food's still sitting there and I'm lying on the sofa drunk. Yeah. It's like...
You start doing so well.
Yeah. And I've been dealing with cravings this last week very harshly, and it's because I've got £1,000 sitting in a drawer. And I'm just sitting there going... And
temptation.
Very rarely in my life have I saved more than £1,000. You know, a few £100, even £300-400 saved, and I'm just like, well, I could easily spend 100 and just go on a little rip, and then 2 weeks later I've spent it all, and I'm fucking borrowing money, trying to pay bills and blah blah blah. So, what was it that brought? Yeah, so that self-sabotage of having everything. Like, I'm really good at writing lists and stuff as well. I'm really good. You were saying earlier about writing notes and stuff. I've recently bought like a diary off Amazon, which is basically plan your entire fucking year down to the T. So like at the very start, you're writing my dream life, blah, 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 what I'm grateful for, blah, blah, blah. And then it breaks it down into 1 year goals, 3 month goals, 1 week goals. And then at the end of every week, you evaluate it. There's a fucking pie chart. It's really in depth.
Shit.
It's the shit I need, you know, because as you said, when things aren't in sight, I fucking forget about them.
Yeah.
My head is like, I don't know if it's I've drank too much that my memory, short-term memory's fucked, or if I have ADHD, I still have to get checked up about that. I don't know.
I want to get tested for ADHD, but I keep forgetting to go.
Yeah, or another one that I think could be really deeply linked about it, and I've talked about it on the podcast a lot, is social media and or just media in general. The way the media is so quick and instantaneous that we're so, you know,
We've no like long attention span.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes back to, you know, we went to my grandparents earlier, and we were joking about, we were talking about ice baths.
Oh yeah.
And they thought we were crazy.
Yeah.
But then they were talking about watching a funeral on
the fucking
the
TV.
internet. We're like, what the fuck?
There's a very different stance on what's trending, you know.
Yeah, but the reason I bring that up on the short attention span thing is, you know, my granda's a right early age, but if my granda needed to go to a random location in Mullingar, he would drive towards Westmeath. He'd drive towards the signs in Mullingar, and then he'd stop someone and go, "Hey, boy, do you know where 33 Line Crescent is?"
Yeah, right down there. Take a left.
Take a left, second roundabout, you know, whereas we're Google Maps. Oh, fuck, I've no internet. What the fuck am I going to do? You know?
Yeah, I've that's, and as somebody like as I said, I'm a recovery driver, so you're everywhere in the country all the time, and Google Maps is just,
Yeah.
you know, it's of course like it's everything is like instantly where you want to go right now. There's no waiting, you know. The most amount of waiting people have to do now is like find out for part 2, you know, on like a YouTube video.
It's amazing. It's unbelievable, the technology, but at the same time, you know, with Google and everything as well, you know, we don't really store facts up here anymore in our heads. We store facts in our phones.
I don't have social media.
Do you not?
No, I don't have social media.
Oh,
I have I have Snapchat. That's like my friends have Snapchat, and I have WhatsApp. You know, so they're both like primarily texting based.
Snapchat, not just fucking kids and
pictures. That's my friends. They have.
I was about to say kids and porn in the same sentence there, and I didn't want to.
No, that's a different website. But no, it's I found that, like, because I used to be the very same. So when I started to get better and kind of focus on my mental health, I've always wanted to jump off of social media, and I'd always jump back on. And the reason why I've been off of it for the longest is I've put it down to, if you're, you know, a guy sitting down and you're not releasing any endorphins, you're not getting out, you're not getting moving, you're sitting in and you're being anxious and you're not doing shit. If you're in an anxious headspace, chances are whatever you're looking at is going to be a root of anxiety, you know? So I know for myself, you know, you're fatter, you're miserable, you're depressed, you're single, you're not working, you're not doing anything. You're looking at people in Dubai on Instagram. And you're comparing yourself to everybody else.
Absolutely.
Everybody else. And that's the, I think genuinely that's the root cause of when somebody's lost.
Big time.
You've no reason to think about what you're doing if you can see what everybody else does.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
you're never going to be good enough, because there's always going to be someone better than you. There's always going to be people worse than you.
My trick is I compare myself to me yesterday.
Yeah.
Just that's it. And every other thing of self-help that I've ever heard, everything all the advice that I've ever gotten off of other people as to why they're better and I'm not, is because I'd never come back to the root cause of that question. It's me. If I'm making a bad decision, it's me putting myself in a position to do so.
Yeah.
You know, so if I can compare myself to me yesterday, I'm not thinking about, you know, Connor in Dubai and fucking Hannah and fucking Montgomery, not fucking, you know, like, or Roisin from, you know, Cavan sitting down in Cork on a beach. Who gives a fuck? You know, in the nicest way
I thought you were going to
possible.
say Roisin sitting in Cavan in a coffee shop.
Kevin's a nice guy. But I found that if I do that, I forget who I am. I forget where I'm going, and I forget my goals. So if I can jump off of social media, I can only see what I'm doing. And that's when it hit me. That's when I was like, okay, I need to get up and I need to make a plan. I need to make a goal. And I used to always think that your goal has to be, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer or a fucking, you know, a gold-plated environmentalist saving the world, you know, one fucking leaf at a time, whatever it is, I found that I don't care anymore if it's a big goal or a small goal. The one thing I don't want is to be financially screwed when I'm older. So, you know, like my goal, 100%, is I want to have a family in the future. I work an insane amount of hours. We're talking 80 plus hours in a week.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, for this flat that we done, you know, we lifted over 200 cars, and I worked in.
Jesus.
Like, yeah, it was up there. It was more.
But you
than
said earlier for free. You lifted the cars for free.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah,
sponsored
it
by
was-
the. Oh, very good.
Exactly. Yeah. But I found that the thing about that that voice of comparing yourself to yesterday, if you can only see yourself. And my goal is to, you know, like have a fucking family. I want to have a small investment in real estate that, you know, can like go Airbnb through a couple of apartments that I'll own and just let them start paying for themselves after a couple of years. So then I don't have to work an insane amount of
Like a
hours.
passive income.
Yeah,
Almost.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something as basic as maintaining a small household in an apartment. I can live with that. That's fine. But I found that I think it's so important to have a goal, and like having a family isn't, you know, you don't have to go to. Did it go out? Oh, there you go.
Oh, we're still recording.
Happy days.
Oh shit. We'll cut that bit out.
We'll cut that.
Adding clap. If you want a tea or anything there, do you?
Yeah, I'll probably just refill up on my coffee. But oh shit. We'll cut all of this.
Don't talk.
Sorry.
I'm only joking. I'm just trying to like jump straight back in.
I'll whisper again.
Is it recording?
I'm so sorry. I'm after ruining everything.
I fucked it all again.
My parents were right. No. We made sure that they're not.
But fuck, what were we talking about?
We were talking about goal.
Yeah,
oh yeah. So when it comes to like my goal and stuff, I realized that not having it to be, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, a lawyer or a doctor or anything wildly crazy that you thought of when you were a kid, because I don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer or an astronaut or whatever. You know, I'm quite happy with, you know, any job I jump into, I know I'm going to be happy in. Any job that I jump into, I'm going to work as hard as I can in. And I think, you know, having a few like set characteristics, you know, you may not be the best athlete in the world, but hey, maybe you have, you know, you have the ability to, you know, go through hard shit for 20 more days than the other person standing beside you.
Yeah.
You know, figure out what makes you great, what makes you, and hone on them. And, you know, who cares if you're working in a place that makes you feel bad, or, you know, you're not making as much money, but like it's
also
about
drive as well.
Yeah.
You know, drive. If there's a saying that's like something along the lines of drive trumps talent. You know, so you might have someone in the terms of the musician's game. You know, you might have someone who's an average musician, but they're fucking driven.
Yeah.
And they're all over their marketing. They're all over their gigs.
Yeah.
They're 24/7 thinking about that shit.
Yeah, I think people have talent. Some people have talent, but just because you don't have talent with something doesn't mean you don't have to be great at it.
Yeah.
You know, because like if you put in 105 hours and that brings you to like here, say you're a musician, you know, you're born with it, you've grace, you've God, you've talent, and you're just Mark. You know, and Mark can't play the guitar all that well and he sucks, but then you can work at it and put in the hours and put everything in. You can be as great. You probably have to work harder than some motherfuckers out there, but I think that's it. You know, people flinch now when shit gets hard. You know,
And that's taking it back to comparing yourself on the internet. I think I've said it on the podcast before, but you know, I grew up in a small town and there was maybe between 10 to 20 guitar players that were all sort of playing on the same level, and we'd all be playing these gigs in local bars and stuff when we were like 15, 16 years old, and there'd always be like one guy who everybody looks up to and goes, fuck, he's unbelievable, he's untouchable. But then you would look down and you would see yourself better as all the up and coming guitar players and stuff like that. But then you get the fucking internet, and there's an 8-year-old boy in China who can play guitar better than I'll ever be able to play guitar if I put thousands of hours in. You know, it's crazy. And then I go, well, what's the fucking point? You know, I'm never going to be that good.
Yeah.
You know, and then the internet is an illusion as well. You know, this, like, I remember when I was traveling and stuff, you know, and some people have messaged into the podcast, you know, saying, you know, they followed me when I was traveling. I was posting videos and pictures and shit, and you know, and I was living the dream to a certain extent, but I was also drinking every fucking day and waking up every day fucking miserable.
Yeah,
going,
exactly.
Oh no, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Until I got my next fix, you know. But my point was, the internet, it's sort of, you can paint an illusion of anything. Like, I've been doing the same amount of gigs in pubs as I've always been doing. But then most recently, when my girlfriend joined the band, she posts about the gigs we're doing, and now suddenly everyone's going, fuck, yous are doing really well, yous are playing everywhere and stuff. And like, I'm just doing the same as, I'm actually doing fucking less than I've fucking done before. I'm just not posting about it.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing as well, you know, publicity.
That's it. And you know, you can polish a turd on the internet, you really can. You could go and stand outside the Hollywood Hills and be like, yeah, I'm just here at the Hollywood Hills, or, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, like, but that's it. I think that the internet is always more so like the validation for other people. When I got off of all that shit, I found that I didn't want to post a random picture of food that I have or something that I'm doing, because they don't care.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. And they don't care. You know, I'm thinking like, if I was to look at it myself, if I was to look back at my own day and I was to take 5 pictures in a day of something important that day, do you reckon Instagram or Facebook is going to get any of those pictures?
Yeah,
not a
true.
fucking chance. You know, I'm not going to look back at the day and be like, wow,
that was a great steak.
Yeah, that was a good omelette. You know, I'm so happy I told 400 people on Instagram
What
about
a fucking
it.
amazing cup of coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the other thing it can do to your self-esteem if you start
Ego
basing
and
your
shit, right?
validation on the internet. Like, somebody who is maybe good looking or more popular on the internet could post a picture of their coffee and go, great coffee today,
and everybody
thousands
will,
of likes. I'll post a video of a fucking song I put my heart and soul into, 10 likes, mum, dad, girlfriend, friends, you know,
second cousins, the whole 9 yards.
and you're sitting there going, oh, is this what my song is worth less than their fucking cup of coffee, their fucking skinny mug of fucking tuna shit, you know?
They done nothing, you know, I'm out here putting more effort into it.
Yeah.
But I think that's it, you know, that's the beauty of, you know, the internet. You know, you're always going to have somebody who works a hell of a lot less than you do and gets more validation for less that you put out. And I think that's why it's so damaging for mental health to have it, you know. And whatever, if you want to have it, like, that's today's, you know, day and age, you're going to need it.
Yeah.
If you want a business, you're going to need it. You want to fucking get in contact with anybody, you know, chances are it's going to be through social media that you're going to connect to them.
This is it, yes.
So, I mean, like, you know, if you can limit your time on it, you can't say cut it out completely. You know, I like to think that I can, but at the end of the day,
It's hard when you're a fucking addict, you know.
and you want to fucking, when you're sitting down, it's addictive.
Oh,
as fuck, instant gratification, you know.
It's my dad has a friend who's not in social media, and I think I got this joke right, but he's got this. It's not a joke; it's just a funny thing. But he sees someone taking a picture of their food, and he says, look, they're taking a picture of their food for Instagram before they go back to their shit lives.
Yeah, but I mean,
I just find that funny.
How true is that, you know? I mean, anybody can go and be like, oh, had a great day out, you know, great expensive brunch, and then they go back home and they're sitting in a car that they took out on loan, and, you know, the fucking back on rent, and the electricity's rising as well, you know? Fuck, you're telling me. I mean, like, I think everybody has their demons. Everybody has their shit.
Of course.
You know, it's like when you're a kid and you go to your friend's house, and you're like, their parents aren't like fighting and killing each other.
Yeah.
No, but chances of your friend being traumatized for a very different reason that you didn't get, it's probably there too.
This is it.
You know?
This is it.
You know, I mean, like, I remember when I got into secondary school, I went to one of my friend's house, and, you know, like, my brother and I, we got on really well now, but when we were kids, we fought, we killed each other. We absolutely killed each other. So now, looking back, when I went to my friend's house, the first thing he done when we walked into his house is he gave his brother a hug and asked how his day was. And I was like, you can do that with your brother? Yeah. Ours was just a right hook, you know?
Yeah.
But like it's crazy, you know? But I mean, like, I've known that guy well over 10 years now. And I mean, like, it's true. His family life is so different to mine. But, you know, there's things that he went through that I'd be like, oh, shit. And there's things that I went through where he was like, you can keep that, you know? And that's social media plastered over it, you know? And the extremes of it, too. You mean, everybody of every small town has one person in the town. We're like, wow, they've 2,000 followers on Instagram. And it just gets bigger and bigger to everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, different levels of look at me, you know?
Madness. So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about the ayahuasca.
Yeah.
So you went to do the ayahuasca. What was your reasons for it?
The reason why I done it, and I had two voices in my head doing it, I was also just like, what's ayahuasca like?
Yeah.
You know, the part of me that, you know,
Had you
sat
experimented
down.
with anything like it before? Or?
No, never.
No?
No, I've taken like small bits of psilocybin, you know, when
It's
they...
like mushrooms, is it?
Yeah, when they grow on in October and some shit.
Yeah. Free picking.
Yeah. But that was it, you know, nothing ever too crazy. But
I remember we went mushroom picking and picked this big bag of, this is before the internet as well, so it was just a big bag of fucking random mushrooms and brought them to the local neighbourhood drug dealer, and he just like picked out like 3 of those Liberty caps,
yeah.
and then he's like,
the rest of
the rest of that'll probably fucking kill you, you know?
Do you want to sell it anyways?
Probably.
Just give us like €5 and we won't say anything. But yeah, so for me it was I was going to try ayahuasca. That was it. That was like one of the big things of it. And I also heard about the Bufo alvarez, whatever it's called.
That's the toad.
The toad shit.
Toad.
So I was thinking that, and I said, hey, whatever I take from it from then, perfect. You know, so I kind of went into it blindly. When I got there, I was thinking it would be nice to kind of rekindle that little bit of, you know, spirituality, meditative awareness, and, you know, just an in-depth feeling of not feeling so confused and anxious and, you know, your normal day-to-day shit.
And did you have much of that before, like spirituality in your life? Or?
I jump into it a little bit, and it was never something that stuck around, but I always felt a really strong draw to it, you know?
Yeah.
But when I got to the retreat for the first couple of days, I was all blocked up. You know, I could feel like when they were talking about like all the different ceremonies that we were doing the first night of the ayahuasca was, you know, it was okay. You know, I felt a little bit more relaxed, and that was it. I didn't get a whole lot of anything the first night and the second night. But then the third day when we done the fire ceremony,
oh fuck yeah,
that was something else, dude.
Yeah.
That was something else.
Was that the day they spiked us, or
that was the ayahuasca balls?
So they
And
get,
I was going to this like fully expecting to be like brainwashed by a cult. I was thinking, right, when I come back, I'm going to be talking about like Scientology or some shit, you know.
I fucking was. I was coming back going, don't eat rice, don't drink milk.
Oh
fucking-
yeah, the whole 9 yards. You know, there's a couple of things that you take from it that are actually true. You know, like you shouldn't eat past 6 or 7 o'clock in the evenings because then I'm not now. The days that I do, I wake up the next day from sleep all tired and groggy and just in the wrong headspace. If I don't eat past 6 or 7 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm not digesting when I'm sleeping. I'm waking up and I'm full of energy, full of energy. But I wanted to get back into a swing of it, or I at least wanted to see if it was real.
Yeah.
You know, if there was actually something there. So I went in like really skeptical, you know, walls up like all this.
And what is your belief from the ayahuasca? Do you believe that it's purely a psychological experience happening, or do you believe you contacted a different realm, or
I think
are you like me and just don't know a fuck?
Jesus, I mean, where
Need
do
to do
you
it 10 more
start?
times?
Yeah, you mean like because you lose reference for it. So when you're experiencing it, you feel like you can write a book and a novel about
Yeah.
it. But because you've no reference for it from like day to day, you can't really put it into words.
So true.
All I know
I brought a
is-
file block with me and tried to write down like even the next day, you know, and I could
And then when
remember.
you're looking at it the next day, it's like, no, it's wrong. It's not what I wanted
Yeah.
to express my way.
And it was to explain it on the podcast, but when it came to the podcast, I was like, I can't explain this. All I was talking about was severed dicks and balls and heads. And
I heard at one stage when you were going over talking to a few other people that you were like, I seen myself as a baby in a crib. And that was like one of the first things that I heard from you, because I thought that was just the introduction. Hey man, yeah, how are you? Cool, yeah. Nervous? Yeah, kinda, yeah. And then we like go off and do our own thing, and then the next morning you're sitting there like, I heard, but I was a fucking baby, you know, in a crib, and I was just like, I didn't get any of that.
oh fuck.
But it was great though. Like it was
yeah. And what did you like the first and second night were? They started us off very tame on the first night and got a little stronger the second night. And
so the first night and the second night were quite mild. Then the third day when we were doing everything with the fire ceremony was where I actually really fell into it. That was when I was able to let go of everything that I was holding on to, because when we were doing it, remember we done the part of the ceremony where you'd write a letter to yourself and you'd burn it. Yeah. For 2 years, I kid you the fuck not, even losing weight and everything, I had unbelievable tension in the top of my back. You know, like it would always, like if I'd lie down, it would cramp, and I'd try and like move and, you know, get out of it. And I could never.
I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, right. And when we done the fire ceremony and dancing around and singing, and, you know, when we threw it in, all of the expression that I had on the letter, when I put it into the fire, I felt the pain in my back that was still quite there. I couldn't sit comfortable for the entire time that I was there. I could still feel that. But then the pain turned to pressure. The pressure just went through me. Like it wasn't sore, but I could feel it. But it went through my back and out my chest. And I felt the pain and the pressure like literally just go through me that second in the fire ceremony. And that was when I, like, every bit of, you know, like me being skeptical about the shit, I was like, oh God, no. You know, the walls come down, and, you know, like it's great when you go on a journey and you can lose weight and you can get into a better, you know, job and get better money. And but the one thing people can't neglect is their mental health to it. Yeah. Because doing the fire ceremony, everything made me realize that, like, it's so easy to go without love for, you know, for a very long time. Yeah. So, you know, it takes courage to come out and be a man in today's, you know, day and age, you know, where you're afraid to like jump up and move. And I went on a spiral there.
You're okay.
What did you ask me?
We were talking about mental health, and you were talking about it manifesting.
Pain. So when it left, I realized that like as you can diet, you can exercise, you can get a better job, you can get better pay, you can do all these great things. But if you don't express yourself, and I'm saying this like as a man, like it's hard as fuck to express yourself to people. You know, you grow up and you think that, and everybody always says that they want somebody to, you know, express themselves, but if you do it too much, everyone's like, oh my God, stop. You know, please.
Like I said to my friend, like women, not to be sexist, but seem to like talk a lot more about their feelings and everything like that. Whereas when I was growing up, if I turned around to my friend and said, I'm feeling quite, you know, low on feelings of self-loathing due to maybe like guilt and shame that I'm experiencing and re-experiencing, it's like, shut the fuck up, man. You're gay. You know?
You're gay. How can you talk about these things? You know? And that stigma was there for a very long time. So when I realized that pain that I was carrying on to was because I hadn't expressed myself with a lot of things in a lot of different years. So, and the reason why that's important is because, well, firstly, going back to that, there's a book that was actually recommended to me by somebody in the retreat, and it's called The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh yes.
And
I've read similar books to it, but I've seen that one.
Yeah, about how trauma like manifests itself in bodies and stuff and holds on to it. And if you told me that, you know, 40 minutes before the fire ceremony, I would have been like, shut up. What, you get sad, so you have a pain? Idiot. No, it's not how it works. But yeah, so I got really into it in the fire ceremony. And then once I done that, then I was like, okay, I need to express myself. And the meditation retreat for me eventually turned into, I didn't have a goal getting there, but I had a goal when I was leaving. Right, so I think that's allowed. You know, I mean, like the whole point of it is to go and try things that you're not sure about. The meditation retreat was one of them.
Just learn about yourself.
Yeah. So the reason why I think it's really important to express yourself is because I held on to something for years. I was abused as a kid.
Okay.
And it takes courage to come out to the people in your life and say that, because it destroys your self-image, it destroys everything, it destroys a lot of different things.
Of course.
When you're a kid, and you learn that as a teenager, and you hold on to that as a young adult. So I found that when I said this out loud to my family, to my friends, to everybody, that, you know, I'd know long enough to where it would be relevant. I'm not just going to start telling people in the shop when I'm like paying for milk or something. What do you mean it's not on sale? But anyways, I found that it's really, it's good, because since I'd done that, that's not an easy thing to say.
Of course.
In fact, I had never told anybody in my life that, and I actually told one of the people on the meditation retreat right after the fire ceremony.
No way.
Yeah, because it came through me, and it was just like, right, like I need to learn how to express it. And you know, the person that I was talking to, like, you know, I was talking to them for a while, trusted them. It was, you know, it was nice. It was a nice interaction. And then I was like, if I have the courage to say it to somebody who I've only known a couple of days, why haven't I said it to family and friends and blocked up the relationship that I have, that I maintain with people,
Of course.
who are close to me? You know, so like you'd always say, like, I always want people to be honest with me, and I always want people to, you know, never hide anything from me. You should never have to hide anything from me. But I can't expect that of people if I don't do it to them. Now, there's things that you should keep to yourself. There's things that are, you know, your own life. But if you want to have the realest relationship with somebody as to how much they can care about you and you them, you have to be, I think, honest about all of the things that hurt you and you hold on to. So being as another man talking about this shit to other men, it's my, you know, like from anywhere from my father, my uncle, my brother, from anybody in my family and my friends who've been men, who you don't talk about all this shit when you're sitting down together, because we don't talk about this. So when it actually came about and I had the difficult conversation with them about it, they all opened up about their own things when they were kids, and the relationships that I've had with these people have gotten better.
Oh, class.
Because I was able to take the courage and actually open up and stand up and say these things. And that's why I think that, you know, I want my own podcast when I get the cabin up and running, and it's the very same thing. I just want to be able to jump on with a mic and people and just have real talk, and that's why I think it's essential.
Yeah,
you know?
it's something you don't really hear talked about too much, except for on, like, you know, popular fucking Joe Rogan show or something like that. So it is important, you know, these little podcasts that are all over. I've noticed a lot of people, because when I was looking for podcasts about mental health in Northern Ireland, I think I found like one or two, but they're like almost like NHS-y, you know, if you know what I mean. It's not just regular people, and it's like a psychiatrist talking about mental health. It's not. It's like
hard to relate to, because you see them as a psychiatrist. You don't see them as, like, you know, you do see them as a person, obviously. You
Plus,
know?
it doesn't seem fucking interesting. You know, hopefully people would like to listen to us because we're two cool dudes. You know, whereas listen to a doctor talking to an interviewer, you know, it's not as it doesn't sell. But for the same reasons, you know, is why I'm so open and honest about the alcoholism, you know, it's because there's not too much of an understanding. Like I've been battling with addiction for about 10 years, but only proper seriously battling it for about a year, you know, and learning so much through AA, through the internet, through fucking Jordan Peterson, whoever, everything. I'm absorbing it all. And like you were saying about expressing, getting that shit out that you're holding on to, that's kind of what the 12-step program, part of it is about. Step 4, I think it is, you're writing about all your resentments you have towards, you know, people in your life, and then you're I don't fully understand it, but you're tracking it back to, you know, why do I resent them? You know, like I resent my fucking girlfriend because she fucking leaves the toilet seat up. That doesn't happen. That's a stupid example, but I don't want to use something real there. But and then I could track that back to, you know, something inside me, you know. But it's also expressing it, getting it out, getting all that shit out. You're basically writing your whole fucking blueprint on a page, sharing it with another person, and then there's a whole God, not religious, like spiritual aspect to it, which I still haven't got a fucking grasp on, but I'm trying to, and all this stuff, but we'll not get into that because I've talked too much about it. But yeah, so you done, and then day 3 of the ayahuasca, that was the big...
So the last night of the ayahuasca was the pinnacle of it. I took the ayahuasca, and we had the 2 spiked balls of cacao ayahuasca at this stage.
Just to rekindle the audience's thoughts, we done a ceremony and stuff, and then they gave us all a piece of chocolate afterwards, and then told us after we ate the chocolate that there was ayahuasca in the chocolate.
It was space chocolate.
So we were already starting to feel a little bit fucking weird before we actually drank the cup of ayahuasca, which was also fucking double strength or triple or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So go on.
So that kind of, I was lying there after I'd taken it for about 5-10 minutes, and I could feel it starting to work, and I just said, fuck, the fire ceremony, because there was things the shaman said in the fire ceremony that was just fucking mind-blowing. Before we took the ayahuasca, like when he was saying, like, close your eyes and envision yourself walking down like a meadow, and then, like, you see yourself as a kid. When he was doing all this, man, it was like a movie in my head. I was like fully submerged in this, and I was like, oh shit, tears rolling down, I was crying, and then I like opened my eyes and check. No, but yeah, like, hard hitting shit. So you were going back to, like, when you'd fight with, your girlfriend or parents or whoever. I found that after me seeing my own traumas as a kid, I seen my parents standing beside their own kids, and that was with friends and family and everybody who I'd met, because then I stopped being upset at any reason for anything that's happened before. For any reason you might hold a grudge, because you were talking about grudges.
Resentments, yeah.
Because they were just traumatized and they were passing it down, and there was different strains of what they'd passed down as love, and it just kept going, and it went on for fucking miles. Like I seen, like my blood lineage with this shit, and I was like, oh my God. So then that's when I stopped being so angry and, pumped up and, aggressive and all that shit.
Kind of like it's nobody's fault.
Exactly. Yeah, how do they know? They didn't go on an ayahuasca retreat. Would I have been any better if I didn't? I could have easily have just passed it on. But then you take like the meditative like solace of the buck stops here. I know where everybody else went wrong, and this is where I know what was wrong with me. But if I do the right things and keep myself in check, well then I won't pass on the shit that's been passed on to me.
To your children.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So that's kind of like, that's one of the motivators that I have with it. Everything I want to do, I'm doing for the fact of where, like, I'm not a father and a husband yet, but I want to be a damn fucking good one when it comes.
There you go, ladies. Yeah. Any ladies listening? You got a damn fine man over here.
No. But yeah, so with the ayahuasca then, I found that after like 5 or 10 minutes, I was just like, right, if I can see this and experience this, and I felt the pain leave my back, and I felt really good, and I felt really connected to everybody after that. That was when I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to speak to the ayahuasca like they speak to the ayahuasca. So literally, like I just said, Mama ayahuasca, take me wherever you need to go. Acha mama, But when I said that, it was the most bizarre thing ever, because you're already seeing like mild fractals and dimensions, and when I said that, I literally just felt like everything in my body just going really relaxed, and then I just fell into an explosion of colors.
Oh shit.
And that was when I just said, like, okay, good or bad. I was afraid of like shitting myself or puking or purging or whatever it was, being like in a psychedelic state. But when I kind of said, like, I don't care what's going to happen. If the fire ceremony was that good, the ayahuasca is supposed to be something else. So that's when I stopped having expectations. That's when I stopped holding on to everything. And that's when I was just like, whatever you need to show me, good or bad, show me.
Yeah. And
that was just when it all just, I fell into the chasm of, ayahuasca, euphoria. And, the thing that I got from it the most was I need to be, a little bit easier on myself, because I could go months of being, I have to get up at 5 o'clock, I have to do a run, I have to go to work, and I have to go on, and I'd show myself like such little love and remorse, like, fuck you idiot, get up and do the things you don't want to do. And you can fall into that mindset, but too much.
Just being hard on yourself.
Yeah. So it's important to show a little bit of love, actually go and do the things you want to do, take a day off work every so often.
Have a bath, bro.
Have a bath, light a few candles, get your hair wrapped up the way women wrap their hair, you know, sit in it with a glass of wine, you know,
don't fucking
treat yourself,
tempt me.
sister.
Yeah, well, that was the main thing I got from it. I've already talked about it before, so I'll not talk too much about it, but it just basically, not during the ayahuasca, I just seen loads of darkness. It was just pure darkness. I felt like at one point I found this little box and I knew my inner child, but I don't know if this was just my fucking brain, you know, wanting to meet my inner child, because that was something I read on the internet before I came, but I was like visualizing this box and stuff, and I was like, open the fucking box, I want to see my child. But another thing I seen this like almost like hillbilly, like wearing like, what do you call those dungarees?
Yeah.
Fucked up teeth, like Cletus out of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
But like,
But a lot scarier.
but almost demonish, like really, like demonish, if that's a word. And he was like representing all the bad shit
all
in me,
the ugly in your life.
the laziness, the alcohol, the fucking the fucking pervert, you know,
everything,
the everything bad about me was in this thing, and I was like, I need to kill him or something.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So I never really got any answers. I just seen loads of fucking darkness and shit. I did see something that I mentioned before about I seen my fucking mother, and then she was like laughing in conversation with her, and then it was like freeze frame. You know, like in a movie when it goes freeze frame, and then she just appeared on a mask card, and then and I was like, oh Jesus, mommy. And then I was like thinking, fuck, I need to be, you know, spending more time with parents and all this shit, you know.
Yeah.
But I never got any answers. But then when I done that fucking 5-MeO DMT, that frog sweat shit. Yeah. Oh fuck.
Nope.
There we go. We're back. When I done that frog sweat shit, I smoked it. I just went. I don't know. It was like somebody pulled the plug. Like I got plugged out of the matrix for a second.
Yeah.
And I fucking like died. And then I was like, I went through all this shit within seconds, like lifetimes of shit. But then I started coming round a little bit, but still out of it. I opened my eyes and stuff, which I don't think I was meant to do. And I felt like a newborn baby in the cot. I was looking around the room. I was like, oh shit, there was this girl, this woman walking around me in circles with one of those things they have in mass.
Sage leaves? The incense burner. Yeah.
And she had like I could see her ankles as she was walking past me in her bare feet. And she had those like, these little ankle bracelets or whatever, and they were like ding-a-linging and stuff, and I was just like, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what the fuck? But then I just got this big sudden feeling of, you've been so hard on yourself your whole life.
That hit hard too.
Trying to be the doctor, trying to be the astronaut, failing, and then beating yourself up about it.
Take pride in who you are.
Yeah. And that happened, and I just bawled my eyes out. I've never cried so hard. I was just like, oh, bawling like a baby. And then I could hear like as soon as I started coming around a little bit more, I could hear somebody else maybe crying. Then I could hear someone going, ah! And then there was that guy that went crazy.
Yeah, that was mad. It was a crazy 3 days. It was a really, really crazy 3 days.
I want to do it again.
I really want to do it again.
I'm gonna
maybe they're right. Maybe there is something severely fucking wrong with us.
Yeah, fuck.
But yeah, no, the 5-MeO stuff, man, was completely different.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I had these. So like obviously with the ayahuasca and the fire ceremony, I was really happy about where I was spiritually. I knew where I was going. I knew what I wanted to do, and I had affirmations. I made sure about all the things that I was sure about, and it was the same. It was just like, hey, give yourself some fucking love, you idiot. You know, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. You're not in the military. You're not always. It doesn't have to always be doom and gloom and really horrible shit all the time. Like, smile. You know, you can talk to people. Why not make people's interactions better? You know, and just put yourself into a good mood and knock it out of the park. But when I done it, dude, like I had, you know, I was doing my breathing beforehand as well because I wanted to get really fucking zen. Yeah. Because I was like, this is gonna be on a different fucking scale. So when I inhaled it, I held it for, you know, a good bit because I was doing the breathing before I could, you know, I was holding it nicely. And I could, like, the entire time, like, I felt my whole body was just, like, shaking.
Whoa.
And then when I, like, expelled the smoke from it, I, like, fell into the vapor and then into the atoms of it. And it just kept going, like, through and through and through and through. And, like, that's when, like...
feeling.
Yeah, like, man, like, it was fucking insane. But the same as that, like, I died. When I came back, I was like, oh my God.
I'm alive!
I'm alive!
Yeah.
You know, all of your memories, all of the things that you know, the places where you've been. I had to, like, really come back and be like, oh, I'm Liam and I'm in Ireland and now I'm back.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it
I
was,
had
like,
that
the
too.
most, like, disconnected feeling. I had this crazy sensation after I was going through all these, you know, chasms of color and feeling and everything. I could feel like rain, right? And then when I was still in this, like, meditative, like, you know, like, just lying down, just letting it take me wherever the fuck it needs to take
Because
me.
you were lying still. You were beside me, weren't you? And you were just like lying still.
Oh,
the
dude,
whole
I
time,
was
just
gone.
deep
I was,
fucking-
yeah, I was gone, man. I was just like, right, do all the Wim Hof breathing and get the air all the way in and all the way out. And I was, like, zoning out of everything. I came back just a couple of minutes after the other guy started screaming. But I found that what I done was to just go with it and, you know, let it lead. You know, my body was just be like, I felt like I was on a fucking roller coaster, just being like slingshot everywhere. I was still,
Yeah.
but like inside my head, I was like fucking 90 fucking degrees this way up and down. And
Yeah.
but when I came back, it was just like the most amazing euphoric feeling ever. You know, colors were just
Oh, mate.
saturated and beautiful, and then the one of the facilitators was like, you know, go and take off your shoes and your socks and go for a walk in nature. Oh, dude, when I got outside and walked past where we done the fire ceremony, I just sat down like with my feet in the dirt. And I just felt so good. I just like fucking sobbed, but like in the best like type of a fucking, like, you felt so connected with everything, and it was crazy. But before I came back, I had this moment of where I could feel the ocean. I could literally feel the waves washing over me, but I could breathe, and I could hear, like, I was gone, dude. Like, I could hear the ocean. I could hear waves. I could hear sand. I could hear other people. And I've linked it to
You don't
one
still hear it?
No, I don't still hear it. Not when I take.
It's not like
no,
tinnitus or something.
Yeah, not when I take the medication. The sand and the voices go.
I still hear them.
I still hear them. But I linked that to when I was coming back. I felt like there was somebody on like a beach somewhere else on the planet, and they were just lying at the edge of the shore, and they were just in a blissful state. Because I knew it wasn't me, but I knew I was somebody. And it was just, I don't know, I made this like wild connection to somebody else at that stage, just lying on the beach, enjoying everything. And then I came back and I could smell like at the beach, you know, I could smell it. It was just like somebody had just changed the light switch. And then I realized that I was actually inside. For so long, I thought I was outside when we took the 5-MeO DMT. And then when we came back, I was like, oh, I'm inside.
Oh, shit.
You know, but it was amazing.
Yeah, I loved that. It was the feeling of coming back from it, you know, when you started telling yourself who you are and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
It felt like you'd been in a bomb at a war. And or for me, you know, and it
Like
felt,
in shock.
in shock,
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was like coming out of shock.
Yeah.
And when we went for that walk, I was just crying, hugging everybody.
Yeah, man.
I remember your guy got into the stream and said, do it, man. And I was like, fuck it. And I stripped down and got in the stream.
Very same as that. It was great. You felt the force of the water against you as well. You were like, wow.
It's amazing. I just wish I fucking held on to more of what I experienced when I was there. Because I came home to my girlfriend, started trying to tell her everything, all muddled up, like it was like, oh my God, Jesus, and she's just like, oh yeah, sounds great, you know.
Yeah, you don't know how to
really
say
great,
it.
you know.
Yeah, and that's why I'd encourage people, like, if you're sitting down at home and you're depressed and you're anxious and you want to get out and do something, pick something, you know, pick whether it's a retreat, and you know, again, like we'll set goals. You can do 2 months of intense shit when you want, but if you're nervous about getting out and meeting people, try and do a night somewhere. Try and do like one night to go out, or, you know, a 2-day retreat, or like, you know, it can be anything. We're just using an retreat. But like, it's so important to just keep trying with it, you know. And I think the meditation retreat really showed me that too. It showed me that, you know, there's always going to be times where you're going to want to sit down and be anxious and give out about things and get a takeaway and have a drink and fucking do whatever you need to do, you know, to get by. But I find that those are the times where you should kind of like, you know, not impulse buy and be like, oh, I should go on or but make a plan to do something else.
Yeah.
Because we all get those voices. Those voices are in all of us, you know. And I think personally, I think a morning routine that works. You know, so like it's so important to have a couple of things that you can do in the first thing in the morning, no matter what they are. So like even if you have like a list every morning, make your bed. If you can make your bed, you're starting your day off with a task and you're completing that task.
I've done like a whole podcast on making the fucking bed in the morning.
Yeah,
you know?
man. Yeah, but it's so true, you know. And like I finally have a small little ice bath. Or the cold water therapy, you know, plunge, cold plunge. So I have one of them now. So every morning, that's what I'm gonna, you know, do it every morning.
Have you done it much?
Oh well, I always do the cold water therapy, but I mean, like I've only had it like 3 days.
Oh shit! Right.
Now, so I've always had to like, you know, use a lake or a really cold shower to do it. You know.
Well, I bought the ice bath, and then the first day I threw loads of bags of ice into it. I told you this earlier, but I was just quickly browse over it, and then. You know, it was fucking freezing the first day. I'd done like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes at 9 degrees. And then the next day it was it was warmer. And I was like, fuck's sake, I'm going to need a load more ice because I can't be buying this ice every day.
Yeah.
So I bought a chest freezer specifically for ice for the ice bath, which was like 150 quid on the internet. And got that set up. And then I got like, you know, sandwich bags, filled them up with water, put them in the freezer. They all fucking stuck together. So I had to like chisel those out of my ice freezer. Then I was like, fuck it, I need an ice machine. So I went online, spent £100 or something on an ice machine, which I got recently. Starts producing the ice. It says 12 kilograms of ice per day. I was like, perfect. But once it produces like fucking a handful of ice, you need to fucking empty it. So I'm in the moment, every fucking 7 minutes, you know, you need to... So that's not going to work either. So I think I'm going to buy some Tupperware, you know, with lids so that it won't leak in the freezer. I'll keep my ice machine going. I'm going to have to pay extra for electricity, you know, but fuck it. I do believe the ice bath for me is the key to kicking off that morning routine. Because number one is going to wake me up and I get all the obvious benefits from the ice bath.
All the dopamine release. And, you know,
and number two for me is... Part of the reason I don't want to get up and fucking exercise, meditate, fucking even make myself breakfast is, well, 2 reasons. Number one being my fucking back pain in the morning. It takes me about an hour before I get a bit more fucking loose. So it's the anti-inflammatory effects of the ice bath sort me the fuck out. Number 2 is social media. So I've recently bought an alarm clock for my room and I've only done this one day. And that one day was the one good day I've had in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Where I've left the phone in the other room charging.